How to create conditionals on Google Looker Studio. You will use conditionals mostly every day in your life if you work with computers or in marketing. In this example, it is simple. I wanted to tag my posts depending on their performance. If the post impressions of this post are over 4,000 and the post engagement rate is over 5%, tag this post as boost. It is a good performing post. Otherwise, tag it as boo. It is a bad performing post. So I will show you how I created this column called recommendation, this custom field. I will select this table, I will select this custom field, and what I did was this conditional. Don't worry about the formula. This is SQL. You don't need to learn SQL. Otherwise, well, it is useful, but you don't need to do it. You can actually copy paste the formulas just as I do or use ChatGPT. When you create conditionals with SQL, you will start always with case, and then I will create a conditional for every row I create. So this conditional says when post engagement rate is over 5% expressed in decimals and the post impressions are over 4,000, tag as boost. Otherwise, also called uh, else, tag it as boom. And here is how you can create conditionals on Google Looker Studio. I hope you like it. I think you will find this very useful in the future for other actual examples. Here is another example of custom formulas and conditionals on Google Looker Studio. This time we will do a basic RFM analysis. RFM is a framework that lets me segment my clients by their quality, and I can assess the quality by three criteria: recency, frequency, and monetary value. Monetary value is if they are paying a lot. Frequency is if they are doing a lot of orders, and recency is if the last purchase was recent. That's everything, and we calculate the metrics to measure those criteria. First, I am using Shopify data by default for this example. With the total numbers per customer, I can tell the frequency. With the total sales, I can tell the monetary value, and with the days since last purchase, I can assess the recency. How do I calculate the days since last purchase? I can show you this formula that we did in another lesson. I will click in the function or the formula, and I will see that I used a function that is date difference and the difference between today and the customer creation date. Actually, maybe I will do it with the last order date, not the customer creation date. But anyways, I won't edit this part of the video. Now I will click on done. Now I will create a conditional that based on these three metrics will segment these customers accordingly as good customer, regular customer, and bad customer, just as an example. So here I will show you the conditional I will create. This is a dimension that I called segmentation. If I show you here, this is a simple conditional that starts with case. Remember, this is SQL. Looker Studio runs on SQL. You don't need to learn it, but you need to understand the basic structure. When you work with a conditional, you always start with case and you finish with end. So I will start with case, and every row is a different rule in our condition. The condition starts when orders are over one and the total sales are more than 100, and the days in the last since the last purchase is, let me see what I put, is less than 50 days, then this is called a power customer. That's the name I put. Now, the second rule is when the orders are more than zero, so at least you bought something, the total sales are over 100, it is the same rule, and the day since the last purchase was less than 100 days, then you are an average regular customer. And finally, I will say, hey, if you have made at least one purchase, the total sales are over 100, but more than 150 days have happened, or less than that, then you are a meh customer or a bad customer. This is just an example. With this formula, I will end with else, bad customer. If you are not following any of these rules, for instance, you have zero purchases or more than 200 days or less than 100 in spent, then you are bad. I will finish with end. And this is how I can segment my customers with these three criteria. I like this exercise because I combine multiple things. I use conditionals, I use custom formulas, I use different metrics, and I use segmentation. I hope you like this exercise and already you understand very well the power of custom fields and conditionals on Google Looker Studio. How to create regular expressions on Google Looker Studio. Regular expressions or regex are the kind of things that you don't want but you need. And I will show you with an example. If you're a marketer, eventually you need naming convention. You need to add a structure on the names of your marketing assets, like your campaign names, your campaign copy, your posts, your URLs, because eventually with this structure, you will want to segment and filter this data. In this example with meta ads data, I can take the campaign names that have a naming convention and I could break down or segment my data by brand, objective, final stage, seasonality, or iteration. And I will show you this example. For instance, with this meta ads data, I could segment by brand, as you can see, or I can filter it as well. I also can segment or filter by objective of these campaigns, also by final stage or even seasonality. What is the issue here? Meta ads by default doesn't bring these fields, so I cannot segment by default with these fields. And this happens with all data sources. That's why we need to create regular expressions to create this kind of custom segmentations. To create a regular expression, follow this formula. I will select this table, and on this table, I will use the formula for segmenting by brand. Regular expressions are simple SQL. If you are using Looker Studio, you are using SQL. Don't worry about that. You only need to copy and paste these formulas. This conditional is simple. I will always start with case. If I am using case, I am creating a conditional. Now, every row is a different conditional, and I will start with when. When regex match is simply a function that you only need to copy. When campaign name contains the word AIG, then tag as AIG. I will copy and paste this conditional and I will add the other values. When it contains Valiant, then tag it as Valiant. When it contains Uber, tag it as Uber, and so on. You will add this period and this asterisk in the beginning and the end because this is a regular expression that says, I will look in this string and I will look anywhere in the string for these values. And if these values are contained, then the conditional is true. I only need to create these different rules and conditionals, and I will end with else, as you can see. After I finish all these conditionals or these criteria, if it is not met, simply tag it as other, and then I will use the clause end to finish this conditional. This is everything. This is how you can create regular expressions on Google Looker Studio to segment your data in a custom way.